The television courtroom had never experienced a moment where sheer, unrestrained arrogance collided so violently with its own downfall. Karen Davidson, a 320-pound woman who had spent the past 5 years intimidating small business owners through fraudulent lawsuits, sat in the defendant's chair radiating a smug confidence that only comes from never being held accountable. Her polished nails tapped rhythmically against the armrest as she prepared to deliver the remark that would ultimately cost her everything: her money, her reputation, and her future. She opened her mouth, ready to speak, completely unaware that Judge Judy-style had spent the previous night uncovering a massive pattern of fraud tied directly to her actions, evidence strong enough to trigger criminal investigations across multiple states. "Maybe you should mind your menopause, Judge, because you're clearly too emotional to understand basic property law." The silence that followed was suffocating. The entire courtroom felt the shift instantly. This was no longer routine. This had become something dangerous. Judge Judy's expression hardened into the kind of glare that had reduced seasoned attorneys to silence on national television. What followed would cost Karen Davidson $50,000, her home, her freedom, and whatever dignity she had left. But before that moment unfolded, it's important to understand how it all led here. This wasn't just about one insult or one case. It was about a calculated scheme. Years of manipulation where discrimination laws were twisted into tools of extortion, targeting vulnerable immigrant business owners for profit. And it was about the one judge who finally had enough evidence to expose it all. Karen Davidson had mastered the art of playing the victim. At 47, she had turned her physical condition into both armor and weapon, filing claims of discrimination to pressure small businesses into settlements they couldn't afford to fight. She would arrive at establishments using a mobility scooter, despite medical records showing she didn't require one, and begin documenting everything. The method never changed. She'd join a gym, demand expensive equipment modifications, and when the owner couldn't meet those demands, she would accuse them of discrimination. Negative reviews would follow within days. Lawsuits came shortly after, demanding anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000. Her true advantage was her knowledge of the legal system. As a former paralegal, she understood that defending a case could cost more than settling it. Most business owners chose the cheaper option, paying her to make the problem disappear. Over 5 years, she filed 23 lawsuits. 11 businesses settled, paying her a total of $127,000. She had effectively turned legal exploitation into a full-time income. Her targets were always the same: hard-working immigrant entrepreneurs who lacked the resources to fight back. She studied them carefully, tracking their financial limits and vulnerabilities. For years, she operated without consequence. Until she targeted Marcus Chen. At 34, Marcus had built Fit Life Gym from nothing. An immigrant from Taiwan, he had worked relentlessly to create a community space for families, seniors, and young people. His gym wasn't just a business. It was his life's work. When Karen demanded costly modifications, Marcus tried to accommodate her within reason. But her demands escalated. Eventually, she sent an email that changed everything. "Pay me $50. Zero or I'll destroy your business online." That message became the turning point. Marcus endured 14 months of stress as his business suffered under her attacks. Membership dropped, fake reviews flooded in, and legal costs piled up. But unlike her previous victims, Marcus refused to settle. Instead, he hired a private investigator. Within weeks, the full pattern of Karen's behavior was exposed: repeated lawsuits, identical tactics, and even social media posts where she openly bragged about her earnings. Marcus needed a platform powerful enough to reveal the truth. That opportunity came when his case reached Judge Judy's production team. Judge Judy reviewed the evidence and immediately recognized something bigger. She ordered a deeper investigation. Her team uncovered everything: medical records disproving Karen's disability claims, surveillance footage showing her walking normally, financial records revealing her reliance on settlements, social media posts boasting about targeting small businesses. The pattern was undeniable. When Karen entered the courtroom, she believed it would be another easy win. She played her role confidently, presenting herself as a victim. But from the very first exchange, Judge Judy controlled the room. When Karen began adding commentary instead of facts, the judge cut her off. When she sighed dismissively, the atmosphere shifted. Then came the questions. How many businesses have you sued? Karen hesitated. How much have you made? Her confidence started to crack. When confronted with the $127,000 figure, panic set in. Still, she pushed forward, raising her voice, accusing the court of bias, insisting she was the victim. Then she made the fatal mistake. She stood up, forgetting her claimed limitations, and delivered the insult that would define everything that followed. Judge Judy rose slowly, her composure absolute. You've just made the worst mistake of your life. From that moment on, the courtroom belonged entirely to her. One by one, she dismantled Karen's story. Lawsuits, medical records, surveillance footage, social media posts, financial data. Every piece of evidence painted the same picture. This was not discrimination. This was fraud. When Marcus presented the threatening email, the final piece fell into place. This isn't a civil matter, Judge Judy said. This is extortion. Karen's composure collapsed. The ruling came swiftly. Judgment in favor of Marcus Chen, $50,000 in damages, $18,000 in legal fees, total $68,000, payable immediately. But the consequences didn't stop there. Judge Judy referred the case for criminal prosecution, fraud, extortion, perjury, potential prison time. She also ensured that every business Karen had sued would receive the evidence, opening the door for additional lawsuits that could total hundreds of thousands of dollars. Karen left the courtroom in shock, her entire scheme exposed. Within hours, the footage went viral. Millions watched as arrogance met accountability. In the real world, the fallout was devastating. Assets were seized. Lawsuits piled up. Months later, she was convicted and sentenced to prison. Everything she had built through deception was gone. Marcus Chen, on the other hand, rebuilt stronger than ever. His business thrived, supported by people who saw his story. He expanded, grew, and turned his experience into advocacy for other small business owners. The case became a powerful example, not just of justice, but of what happens when someone finally refuses to back down. Karen Davidson walked into that courtroom believing she was untouchable. Instead, she walked out as a warning, because in the end, no matter how long it takes, consequences always arrive.